Hello, friends, and welcome to Light on Granite with Diana. This is the first of a series of 8 gentle yoga classes. Our focus today is going to be legs and feet. You will need a block for class, a block or a thick book. This is going to be a standing practice only. So come onto your mat. We're going to come into mountain pose, into Tadasana. So our feet are going to be parallel, hips distance apart, toes facing forward. We're going to elongate our spine, roll our shoulders back. Our arms are along our sides, our palms shining forward. We're going to take a nice deep breath. And we're going to close our eyes. And then I want you to inhale, lift your toes, spread your toes, and then gently place them firmly on the ground. And let's just take a few breaths here. Wonderful. Let's inhale, arms up towards the sky, gaze up. Then we're going to interlock our hands. And then we're going to do a side bend to the right. Inhale back to center, side bend to the left. Inhale back to center, gently release your arms. And let's bring our hands onto our hips. And we're going to do 3 tiptoe raises here. So let's inhale, come up on our tiptoes. And exhale, come back down. Inhale up. Exhale down. Inhale up, exhale down. And keeping our hands on our hips, we're going to move into some ankle rotation. So I want you to actually raise your left leg up, so bend that left knee, and you decide how high you want that. You can bring that knee up to hip height, or you can have it lower. Whatever works for you to maintain your balance. Keep your gaze low. Let's go ahead and rotate that left foot in one direction. And then we're going to switch direction, doing multiple circles. Beautiful. And release that foot down. So we're going to switch sides, get yourself grounded, raise up that right foot. And go ahead and move into your ankle rotations one way. And the other. And release. Now let's step nice and wide, at least shoulders width, if not a little further. And then from here, friends, we're going to put a little bit of a bend in our knees. We're going to move into some dramatic hip circles. Move in a way that feels good to you. Make your circles nice and dramatic. Just trying to stretch our hips out, getting them warmed up. And then we're going to reverse the direction of our hip circles here. And release. Now, looking down at our feet, let's go ahead and point our toes outward, have our heels coming in a little bit. We're going to be moving into a series of 3 squats here. And with each squat, we're going to get progressively deeper. So first, I want you to go ahead, inhale, arms up, gaze up, and then exhale, slowly come down into a gentle squat. And then inhale, straighten those legs, push up. Exhale, come into your second squat a little deeper. Inhale, push back up. And exhale, let's come into our third squat. We're going to hold this for a little bit longer. And push up to standing. Excellent. Now we're going to go ahead and just bend our legs, bend our knees, loosen up our legs a little bit before we move into our next pose. I want you to bring your feet hips distance apart and parallel now. We're going to be coming into a forward fold. So inhale, arms up, gaze up. Exhale, we're going to hinge from the hips, slowly sweep forward. Keep those knees nice and bent. And come on down, bringing our torso close to our thighs. And once you're down, I want you to go ahead and grab onto your elbows or onto your forearms. We're just going to hang for a moment. And then we're going to gently twist to the right and twist to the left. And one more time, twisting to the right, twisting to the left. Returning to center, you can release your hands. Make sure there's a nice bend in your knees, and I want you to slowly roll to standing. Make sure your head's the last thing to come up, and roll those shoulders back. Wonderful. So from here, friends, we're going to go into a series of chair and forward folds. A series of 3. So first thing, we're going to go sort of back into that mountain pose stance with our feet hips distance apart, parallel, toes pointing forward. Inhaling, arms up, gaze up, and then exhale, bend those knees, pull those hips down. Pretend like you're about to sit into a chair. And we're going to hold this for a couple of breaths. And then I want you to hinge forward, coming into a forward fold. You can keep those knees bent. And now gently roll up to standing. Let your head be the last thing to come up. Great. Now I want you to grab your block, and we're going to put our block between our thighs. We're going to come back into our mountain pose stance. And so we're going to be squeezing that block between our thighs as we do our chair pose and our forward fold. So once you're ready, let's inhale, arms up, gaze up. Exhale, hinge those hips, come into chair pose. And then we're going to hinge forward into forward fold. Keep those knees bent if that feels good to you. And slowly roll up to standing. Let your head be the last thing to come up. And then go ahead and remove that block, but keep it close by. We're going to do one more chair forward fold set here. And let's go ahead, inhale those arms up. Exhale, come into chair. See if you can notice that difference from when we started to now. We've begun to warm up in our chair pose. And then go ahead and hinge forward into your forward fold. want you to slowly roll back up into standing. Excellent. So yet again, making sure your block is nearby, we're going to move into a standing series here of some of Ashtanga poses. And we're going to start with Warrior One. So I want you to step your right foot forward. Your left foot is going to be back at a 45-degree angle, but it's going to be facing forward. Make sure your feet are on a separate train track. If you drew a line from your front heel, it would not intersect your back foot. Once you're here, go ahead and bend into that knee, stack that knee over your right ankle. Inhale, arms up, gaze up. Warrior One. Engage your core, find your stability. Feel free to change your stance and make it wider or shorter depending on your comfort level. And I want you to take a nice inhale. And then as you exhale, we're going to open those arms up, coming into Warrior Two. Inhale, arms up, Warrior One. Exhale, Warrior Two. Inhale, Warrior One. Exhale, Warrior Two. Now let's flip that front palm facing up, and we're going to pull that arm up towards the sky, coming into our peaceful warrior, letting our back hand rest on our back leg. Now go ahead and bend that front arm. We're going to rest it on our thigh. Inhale that left arm up straight towards the sky, coming into side angle pose. If this feels comfortable and you want to push it a little further, feel free to bring that arm over towards your ear overhead and see if you can look up towards the ceiling. And hold. Now let's inhale. Bring that left arm back, bring her torso back up, straighten that front leg. We're going to open our arms nice and wide again. And we're going to be coming into triangles. So pull your back hip towards the back wall. We're going to hinge from the hips. We're going to have our block on the inside of our leg on whatever height is most comfortable for you. And we're going to hinge forward, rest our hand on our block. Left arm up towards the sky. And breathe. Now, if you're more flexible and you don't need the block and you can grab down at your ankle, feel free to do that. If you can't actually reach your block, feel free to just rest your hand on your thigh. Modify the pose so it works for you. And then inhale up, keep that front leg straight. We're going to put our hands on our hips. Bring our hips and make sure they're facing forward, the same direction our right leg is facing. We're going to take an inhale, elongate our spine, hinge from the hips, and forward fold into our pyramid pose. And inhale, slowly come up. And we're going to go ahead and bend our legs here. Go ahead and just loosen up your legs for a moment and then step nice and wide on your mat. I want you to have your block directly in front of you. We're going to be coming into a wide-legged forward fold. So first, make sure that your feet are nice and wide. Have your toes pointing outward, your heels pointing in. Feel free to keep a little bend in your knees if that feels comfortable to you. And now we're going to inhale, arms up, gaze up. Exhale, hinge from the hips, coming into a forward fold. and then rest your hands on your block. And remember, your block has 3 different heights. So have it on the height that works for you. Let's just breathe here for a moment. Excellent. Now, keeping your hands on the block, go ahead and we're going to walk our feet in a little bit closer, but then have our toes pointing out again, because as we roll up, we're going to come into a squat. So once your feet are in position, slowly roll your torso up, bend those knees, inhale, arms up, and let's come into a squat. And push up to standing. Excellent. So from here, we're going to do our warrior series on the other side. So this time we're going to lead with our left leg, left foot forward, right leg back. Remember to have your feet on separate train tracks. We're going to bend that left knee. We're going to align it on top of our ankle. Make sure you can see your big toe. Straighten that spine, engage your core. Inhale, arms up, gaze up, warrior 1. And take a nice inhale. And then exhale, warrior 2. Inhale, warrior 1. Exhale, warrior 2. Inhale, warrior 1. And last time, exhale, warrior 2. Now from here, we're going to flip our left palm up. Inhale that front arm up towards the sky as we come into peaceful warrior. Breathe. Make sure that front knee is still bent. Now go ahead and bend that left arm. We're going to rest that arm on top of our left thigh. Inhale that right arm up directly towards the sky. Look up with our gaze towards our hand if you can. And if you want a little more challenge, go ahead and bring that arm down closer toward your ears. And breathe. And inhale, come up, straighten that front leg. Open up your arms. We're going to pull our hip back towards the back wall. Hinge from the hips. Have our block on the inside of our left leg. And come into triangle pose. Remember, your hand can be wherever it's comfortable for you. Just make sure it's not on your knee. We don't want any pressure on your knee. And breathe. And slowly come back up. We're going to put our hands on our hips, bring our hips forward, elongate that spine, and hinge forward, coming into pyramid pose. Beautiful. Slowly come back up. Feel free to shake out your legs for a moment. And then we're going to step wide on our mat again. Make sure your block is in front of you. We're going to be coming into another wide-legged forward fold. Remember, your legs need to be nice and wide, toes pointing outward. Inhale, arms up. You can have a little bend in your knees if that feels comfortable. And then we're going to hinge forward. We're going to rest our hands on our block. And then I want you to inhale. Push your hands on the block. Raise your head. Raise your chest. Exhale. Bend those elbows. Lower that torso closer towards your thighs. Inhale. Head up. Chest up. Exhale, torso down. Inhale, head up, chest up. Exhale, torso down. Now using your hands on the block, I want you to walk your feet in closer together. And just like last time, we're going to come up into a squat. So toes pointing outward, heels in. Slowly come up, bring that torso up, raise those hands towards the sky, and come into a squat. And push up into standing. Feel free to shake out those legs again. Great job. All right, now we are going to move into a modified tree pose. So I actually want you to put your block on the inside of your right foot at its lowest setting. And just take a moment and push into the four corners of your foot. This is a balancing pose, so we want to make sure we have as much contact with our right foot on the floor as possible. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to bring our left foot on the inside of our right leg, and our toes are going to be bent and pushed onto our block. So make sure that foot is as close as possible to the leg for you to get the full effects of the stretch here. I recommend having your hands on your hips. Start with your gaze low. So first, find your balance. Engage your core. Once you feel more stable, see if you can open up that bent knee towards that opposite wall. And once you're stable here, you can stay here or put your hands in front of your heart in prayer. If this is comfortable and you want to test your balance a little bit more, go ahead and inhale those arms up towards the sky. And you can keep your gaze low, straight ahead, or up, whatever works for you. Let's take a couple breaths here. And gently release. Beautiful job. Know that trees sway in the wind. So if there was a little wobble, no big deal. That's perfectly normal. So now we're going to get situated for the other side. So get your left foot grounded first, and then move that block on the inside of the left foot. Once you're stable, go ahead and bring that right foot on the inside of your left leg, toes bent, hands on hips, gaze low. Find your stability, find your strength. If it's not already, try to open up that knee a little bit towards the opposite wall. And then see if you can raise your gaze. And if that's comfortable, see if you can put your hands in front of your heart in prayer. And then you can decide to stay here, or you can raise your arms towards the sky. And breathe. And gently release. Beautiful job. And now, friends, we are going to move into our standing restorative poses. So these are stretches that we're going to actually hold for at least 1 minute each. It helps with deeper tissue release than we get from just normal short holding of poses. And we've got 3 coming up. So the first one that we're going to do is we're going to do a wide stance forward fold with our block again. So we've done this a couple of times already today. Take a nice stance, toes pointing outward, heels pointing in. Have your block in front of you. We're going to elongate our spine. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, hinge from the hips. Rest your hands on your block. Remember, you can have it at any level that you prefer. And the goal here is to bend those elbows and let that torso sink down towards your thighs. Now, friends, if for any reason you're starting to feel a little bit dizzy, I want you to just push on that block and have your head raised and your chest raised. So that's an alternative option, and you can come to that at any point. But for those who are comfortable, try to pull your torso towards your thighs. And while you're standing in this pose, this is a relatively intense stretch in your legs. I want you to focus on bringing your breath into your legs, into those areas of tightness, and imagine that they are relaxing and releasing long-held tension. Try to have nice, smooth, controlled breathing here. In and out. We're almost done. Couple more breaths. Excellent. I want you to push your hands on your block, just like we did last time. Let's walk those feet in a little bit closer. Have a nice bend in your knees. And very slowly, I want you to roll up to standing. Let your head be the last thing to come up. And if you can, keep your eyes closed for a moment before you gently open them. Excellent job, friends. Now, our next pose, you have the option to either use a wall or a block. For class today, I'm going to use a block. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be in a warrior one stance, but we're going to have our foot flexed on the block, our forward foot. So I'm going to start with my right foot. My right foot is going to be flexed and pushing on the block. And my back leg is going to be straight. My foot has got to be at a 45-degree angle facing forward, just like I normally do with Warrior One. You are going to have a bend in that front leg, and you can have your knee on top of your ankle, but make sure your knee doesn't go over your foot. So you want to be able to see that big toe. And for this pose, because it is a restorative pose, we're just going to keep our hands on our hip. And you can keep your gaze low. This is a gentle stretch. And breathe. If you want to see some differences in the pose while you stand here, feel free to flex your foot a little bit more, a little bit less, and work it to a point that feels good to you, and then hold that pose. Keep your spine nice and straight. Smooth, gentle breaths in and out. almost done. A few more breaths. Excellent. And we're going to gently release. I like to just gently twist that front foot off the block, push the block out of the way, and then just flex my legs a little bit before I get into the posture on the other side. Just take your time, do what works for you. And when you're ready, we're going to switch feet. So this time our left foot is going to be forward and flexed on the block or on the wall. Our right foot is going to be back at a 45-degree angle. Those feet, those toes pointing forward. Hands on hips. Make sure you're bending that front knee, but you can still see your big toe. Nice, long spine, head reaching towards the ceiling. And breathing. Noticing where you feel the stretch in your legs. Feel free to play with the flex of your foot until it feels just right for you. We are almost done, friends. A few more breaths. And gently release. Excellent job. And now we're going to move into our last restorative pose before we move into our breathing and awareness practice. So we are going to do a forward fold with a block in front of us. So go ahead and set your block at a height that works for you. Have your feet parallel, hips distance apart, toes pointing forward. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, hinge from the hips. Feel free to have a bend in your knees. And then let your hands rest on your block. And slowly bend those elbows. And let your torso fall closer to your thighs. And if you can, slowly start to straighten out those legs. Now, just like with our first pose here, with our restorative poses, if for any reason you start to feel dizzy, just push up on the block with your hands, bringing that head up and that chest up. And you can stay in this pose as it's still great stretch for your legs. And of course, at any time, if you're uncomfortable, just completely come out of the pose. You are always in control. But let's breathe here. Let those calves open up, the back of the knees open up. Bring your breath to those muscles. Send them thoughts of relaxation. Nice smooth inhales and exhales. And we're almost there. Couple more breaths. Beautiful. Put a bend in your knees. Slowly, very slowly roll up to standing. Try to keep your eyes closed. And once you're standing, roll those shoulders back. And then when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Great job, friends. All right, so we are now going to be moving into our breathing exercise. So before we start, we need to get into the correct stance. So I want you to have your feet wider than shoulders distance apart. Have your toes pointing outward, heels pointing in a little bit. And we're going to have a nice soft bend in our knees. And we're going to have our arms out to the side, palms shining forward, just like we do in mountain pose. And when you're ready, I want you to close your eyes. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be inhaling for the count of 6. And then when you've reached that, you're going to be exhaling for the count of 6. And yet again, inhaling for the count of 6. And exhaling for the count of 6. I want you to continue at your own pace. And then take a nice deep inhale. And let it go. Beautiful, friends. And now from here, we're going to be moving into our meditation or awareness practice. So first, I want you to close your eyes, and I want you to gently rock forward and backward on your feet until you find a place where you can have 4 corners of your feet on both feet touching the ground. Make sure your feet feel nice and stable. You can readjust the bend in your knees if you need to. And then bring your awareness to your hips. I want you to tuck your tailbone in and then push it back out. And move it in and out a couple more times until you find that sweet spot. Our hips are like a bowl of water, so you want to have that bowl in a position that it's not going to spill over. Once your hips feel aligned and comfortable, make sure you're elongating that spine. You're rolling those shoulders back. Your head is reaching towards the ceiling. Your arms are out towards your sides. Hands open, palms shining forward. And let yourself root into the ground. feeling strong, feeling stable, feeling relaxed. I want you to bring your awareness to your chest and your belly. Notice the movement of the air coming in and out of your chest and belly. And then I want you to bring your awareness to your nostrils. Notice how the air feels cool on your inhale through your nostrils and how it's warmer on your exhale. And then bring your awareness to the sounds around you. Maintain smooth, even breaths in and out. And then I want you to take a nice deep inhale and let it go. Let's bring our hands together in front of our heart. Keep our eyes closed. And I want you to spend a few moments cultivating gratitude for your feet, for your ankles, for your shins, for your calves, for your knees, for your quadriceps, for your hamstrings, for your hips. Thank your legs and your feet for all the amazing things that they let you do every day. And I want you to inhale, raise your arms up towards the sky. Send that gratitude out towards the world. Open up your eyes, open up your arms, stretch them nice and wide. And gently release your arms down to your sides. And then we're going to put them together in front of our heart one more time. Bow your head to your heart. Thank yourself for your practice today, for taking time to do something good for you. You're connecting your breath with your movement, stretching your muscles, and finding some moments of peace and relaxation. Hoping to see you for week 2. Sending you love and light. Namaste.